Hey Chase, this is Keaton Everett with ABC going over your pitching video. We're going to go through and kind of break it down at a few key spots and kind of talk about mechanics and a little bit about, how we get consistent, how we use our lower half to generate power, how we keep our arm in a nice healthy position, and just, pitching's just all about getting consistent. It's all about using our lower half, using our hips, and just, staying closed and just getting ourselves healthy. We want to make sure that we're staying healthy. We at your age, at your spot, we want to try to lay the groundwork. So as you get older, as you get stronger, it's going to be really easy for you to get yourself in a real powerful position, and a real consistent position. Because pitching mechanics is so much about strength, coordination. It's a really complex movement, and so if we're doing things right now, when you get older and when you get stronger, it's going to be a whole lot easier to really maximize everything, get yourself throwing hard. So right off the bat, I got to appreciate your hat. I'm a big Yankees fan. I pitched with them for a couple years in the minor leagues, so everyone else is a hater, but I appreciate the hat, so good work. So first off, the biggest thing is how we set up. We got to make sure we're set up over that back foot. Probably about 80% back foot. If you're going to watch right off the bat, your head doesn't really move, but if you watch what your hips are doing, once you start that motion, you can see you start back. So your first motion is back with your hips. All you got to do is just shift your hips back in this position with that foot on the ground. All right, so just load up that backside. If you watch Mariano Rivera pitch. He's loaded up on that backside. His foot's tapping on the ground. So just load it. Just shift everything back over that back foot, so that first movement's going to be forward. All right. That's just an easy fix right off the bat. All right. So you're getting up. You're getting your leg in a nice position. We want to make sure that our knee is closing off our hips, because we want those hips to stay closed and take us down the mound first. Okay. So one thing that you're seeing here is, if you key in on this lower half, is you're going to see your leg drop, but you're not going to see any movement in your hips. All right, you're kind of seeing, okay, now the hips start going. We want to see the hips start going as this knee starts going down. We want to see the hands break. So there's a couple of things. We want to see the hands break. We want to see the knee go down, and we want to see the hips go forward. All right, so you're just kind of lagging with your hips a little bit. You're seeing that leg go forward, and now the hips are starting to go forward. We just want to try to lead with the hips a little bit more. So in this position, you just want to drive those hips, start throwing them to the catcher. So just drive them forward a little bit more, all right? But other than that, you're in a pretty good position to start off. And because you're sluggish with that lower half, you're going to watch this front knee kind of swing open and not really keep your hips closed, all right? And this is a big strength issue. Young kid, and it's going to get a lot easier as you get older a little bit, but your hips are just open at this position. You've lost a lot of that lower body power, and you're just not utilizing that lower half. So and it is a function of strength. It's tough at your age, but if it's something that you kind of key on and focus on, it's going to come easier as that strength comes. So we just want to make sure that you're driving your hips farther down the mound, keeping them closed longer, and then that's a good starting point for you. All right. Stride length-wise, you're doing pretty good. At foot strike, this is the other position we look at. What do we look like when that front foot hits the ground? Okay. So here's your foot strike. All right. You see that back heel starting to come off the ground. That's good. You see this back knee starting to turn over. All right. You got a pretty good stride length. So lower half looks pretty good here. All right. It's just a matter that you've lost a lot of power, a lot of energy, because it's popped open early. All right. But other than that, this position looks good. All right. Another good thing I like is this arm angle. This looks really good. This is a healthy spot to be. All right. Let's go back and look at the ball here. Okay. So one thing we like to see is try to get these fingers in front of the ball. All right, that's just called getting up on top of the ball, getting behind the ball, and that's just going to help you get on top and drive that ball downhill a little bit more. But that's not the biggest issue here. The biggest issue here is that this looks really good. All right, so that's a good, solid starting point. All right, you're seeing this front shoulder leak open a little early. We want to try to keep that left shoulder closed as long as possible. Your gloves in a really solid position, alright? It's down over that front foot, which is perfect. A lot of kids will kind of tuck it back into their bodies, so you're doing good there. And now it's just a matter of, once that strength comes, is that now what your hips are going to look like is you're going to see this hip start turning forward, and you're going to see this front shoulder not turn yet. But right now you're kind of seeing them turn at the same time. So you want to get to the spot. You know, the hardest throwers in the big leagues, their hips are going to look exactly like this, and then their upper body is going to look back in that position I talked about back here, where now it's right here. Nothing's rotated on that upper body. You know, you want those hips to lead. You want that right hip to drive towards the catcher, and then that shoulder to come through, all right? But you're just kind of seeing that because this front side, just watch this front side, you know, this front side is going to leak open a little bit early, and then your body's going to follow it, and then you can see what your head's doing. If we were to look at the side, it's tilting towards that first base. At this position, we want to try to see that head nice and straight, eyes level, right on that catcher, instead of kind of pulled off here. And from the front, you know, you'd see that this glove's way outside your body. You're going to see that head, you know, following that glove. That lead glove, we don't really care a whole lot about what it's doing, but it's just such a good kind of indicator of, you know, your head wants to follow it, your body wants to follow it. So if we can keep that closed, your body's going to want to stay closed, you know, and if we're pulling it off, our body, you know, it's kind of like our body wants to follow that glove. So if we're cutting it short, we're not going to get out as far over our front foot. If we're pulling it off, our body's going to want to try to go that way too. So just try to use that as kind of your guide to get everything in the right position, all right? So let's go through this again real quick and then kind of look at how you're finishing. So just, again, start everything back, get those hips going quicker down the mound, then we're going to look at release. All right, release is pretty solid, and then just the more you can use those hips, the more power you're going to generate. All right, so just the ability to stay through that back leg, you know, through release, that front foot's popping a little, or that back foot's popping a little bit off the ground. We want to try to see that foot stay on the ground all the way till about this position, and then it starts coming off. All right, but you're doing good at getting your head. You know, you're starting to get a little bit over that foot. We want to try to get that head and that chest out over that front foot completely. And all that is just staying through your legs a little bit longer and just, you know, getting that head out here. And again, that'll come with strength and just as you're getting a little bit older. But other than that, all in all, pretty solid, all right? It's just a matter of getting those legs more involved. So hopefully you had a great time at camp. We thank you for coming out, and hopefully you're having a great season, having fun. We look forward to seeing you again with ABC.